given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a
Hey Hippo Nation, what's happening? Bryce back here again with another video to follow up the one I made yesterday about the top 3 best things to flip on eBay. Today I'm going to tell you my least 3 favorite items to also sell on eBay. So between me and Rick, we're going to have a good video. So let's get right into it. So third least favorite thing that I've discovered to sell on eBay is, drumroll please, it's vinyl albums. So, for those of you who don't know what vinyl albums are, they're starting to make kind of a comeback. So back in the day when, well, let me think, my parents are in their 50s now. When they were around in their 20s, 30s, vinyl albums were a pretty common thing. CDs hadn't really been around yet. They weren't mainstream. These vinyl albums, I have a couple actually, ironically enough. They're pretty big. I use them because I like to collect them for art and purposes like that. So here's one from Blink-182. If you haven't listened to the California album, it's excellent. Green Day, Revolution Radio, also another good one, and I have American Idiot on vinyl too. I just like to collect these because they're fun. They make for good artwork in my room. But, so, I'm going to give you guys a little context behind it. So, a couple years ago, my grandfather passed away. We had a ton of vinyl albums lying around in his basement, and my family was like, well, you can try to flip them on eBay, see if you can make any money. Why not? Nothing to lose. So, basically what happened is I didn't know anything about vinyls. I didn't know what was it like if they're in bad condition, what was it like if they're in good condition, do people like to collect them? Well, I learned the very hard way that the answer was I knew nothing to all of those answers, so I'd get some very upset buyers who would give me this face and then make threats and things like that, which was not fun. And another thing that really sucked about it was the fact that shipping them was an absolute bitch, if you know what I'm saying. I'd have to make the boxes by hand. They took forever, and I'd make really small profit margins on them, even when I got them for free. That's bad. I think I made like maybe $4 on a vinyl album, which, you know, for putting them out for, or at least getting them for free, I think that's really great. If you can make anything off of getting it for nothing, guys, that's money. Even if you make 25 cents, I just sold something today, I only made 25 cents on, it's still one step closer to whatever your goals are. So it wasn't the fact that the margins weren't high, it was the fact that I went through a lot of trouble and a lot of grief to get those out, and half the time people would be upset anyway. So that's why I'd say that vinyl albums are my third least favorite thing to sell on eBay. So if I were you guys, I'd be avoiding those like the plague. So, second least favorite thing to sell on eBay, I had it in my mind, it was between 2 and 1. Now I gotta make the call here. My second least favorite thing to sell on eBay, I'd say, is board games. So, the issue with board games is they have a lot of really high potential. You can find them at almost any garage sale, any Goodwill, anywhere you can think of. Pretty much people are getting rid of their board games. And the trouble with board games is the fact that if you don't have a lot of the original pieces, the box is heavily damaged, it severely limits the value of the board game. So for example, you could have I'll give you another example. I've got a Chicago Cubs Collector's Edition Monopoly at my house. I used to play a lot when I was younger, and I was like, well, I don't really play anymore, so I'm going to try to flip it and sell it. Well, the problem is the box is beaten to shit, so it's not nearly worth as much. I think I might be able to get like $5-10 for it, which, you know, like I said, it's better than nothing. It still brings me one step closer to my goal. But the issue I have with board games in particular is the fact that if you buy them from like a secondhand store, even from other people like Goodwill or anything like that, you have to bring them all the way home, try to figure out, okay, what condition is the board in, is anything missing, and if things are missing, you can't get your money back because it's Goodwill. And the fact of the matter is, it's like sometimes you could be missing pieces and not even know it, and it's kind of up to fate to decide whether or not you're going to get the board game in good condition. Now, my caveat to that is, one time I was looking at board games at Goodwill, and I found an American pinball machine for $7, and I sold it for $120. That was by far my biggest flip. I'll make another video about that later. But yeah, so to me, board games aren't really worth it all that much. It's a big hassle. Like I said, trying to find boxes for those is a bitch and a half. Sorry for the swearing. It's just not fun to ship those. Try to check the condition. Try to make sure that all the pieces are there, etc. and so forth. It's just really monotonous and boring. But on the flip side of that, no pun intended, The good thing about board games is that you can actually sell individual pieces. So what I mean by that is maybe if I had that Cubs Collector's Monopoly, maybe I don't want to sell it as a whole set. Maybe I want to sell just the little pieces of it because maybe somebody else out there is missing those pieces. So you actually might be able to get a little bit of value in that because people will be willing to pay a higher premium for just a couple of pieces rather than paying money for an entire set. So there's actually some good flexibility in board games. I just never got good at it, and I was really turned off to it. So my number one least favorite thing to sell on eBay for a profit, it's drumroll please. See, Ricky's even upset about it. It's coffee mugs. That's right, coffee mugs. Coffee mugs drive me absolutely bonkers to sell because one, you have to use really careful packaging methods when doing it, and even if you're careful, half the time they get damaged in shipping anyway. Plus the profit margins on those are so low unless you get a mug from like Disneyland or Disney World or whatever have you. I mean, the good news is you can buy them for really low price points. Like you can get them for a quarter or as high as $1 in some cases, depending on where you go. But like I said, in the end, they're not really the most popular things in the world unless they're from an iconic thing like Star Wars or Disneyland or Star Trek, you name it. And they're just fragile in shipping. What else can I say? And half the time, it's just not, for me. It just wasn't worth it. I'd make like maybe, when you spend $1. Okay, so $1 on the mug, I'd probably spend like a half hour, 40 minutes packaging it just to make sure it was safe. I'd still maybe make like $1 or two at the most, which, like I said, that's still one step closer, but for me to spend a couple hours looking for it and only make $1 or two, it just wasn't a smart play by me after a while. So I just stopped selling them all together. They take place, you have to clean them too, because you don't want to send anybody a dirty coffee mug. That's just nasty. So after a while, I just kind of gave up and said I'm going to toss it in the bucket and just call it good. So guys, what are your least favorite things to sell on eBay, or what do you like to collect, and what do you think has some good resale value to it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious. If you guys like what you're hearing and you want to look at us on more platforms, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok most recently. I've been having a lot of fun with that, making videos. I didn't believe in the hype with TikTok until now. So guys, thanks so much for watching. This has been Bryce and Rick at Hippo Nation. Learn, empower, grow, and have a great day.